Today we're going to talk about the desert habitat. This is the desert. It looks a lot different than the Arctic, doesn't it? Can you think of some ways it's different from the Arctic? Deserts are found all over the world, but we're going to study about one today in Mexico. You can find it in yellow on the map. After nearly freezing and almost becoming polar bear snack in the Arctic, I thought we should go someplace where my whiskers and tail could thaw out and warm up. So I've brought you to the desert. There are many deserts all over the world. You know you're in a desert when it doesn't rain very much. Many deserts can also be very hot. Because it's so hot and dry, only certain types of plants and animals can live there. Welcome to the Sonoran Desert in the southwestern part of the United States and the northwestern part of Mexico. The temperature is quite hot during the day and it doesn't rain very much. The heat and lack of rain make it hard for some plants and animals to live in the desert. They must all be specially adapted to live in the hot weather and survive with very little rain. How do they do it? Some plants can save and store water inside their plant parts when it doesn't rain. Other plants grow only in shady areas near mountains or rocks. Because there are very few plants that can be used as shelter, the animals have adapted to living in the desert. They often seek shelter underground and make their homes under the sand. Living underground helps them stay cool when it gets hot, and it keeps them hidden from other animals that may want to eat them for lunch. Ouch! What did I walk into? Ah, here is one plant that lives in the Sonoran Desert. The saguaro cactus is the world's largest cactus. Cacti don't have leaves, they have prickly spines instead, which is exactly why it hurt so much to touch this one. The incredible saguaro lives up to 200 years, and in that time, it can grow as high as a house, and it can weigh as much as several cars. The most amazing thing about the saguaro is that it is a habitat itself. That's right, not only does it manage to live and thrive in the desert habitat, but just by being there, it provides food, water, and shelter to many different animals. Let me get my climbing gear out and some gloves to protect me from those sharp spines, and I'll meet you at the top. You already know that it hardly ever rains in the desert, but when it does, the saguaro cactus saves and stores huge quantities of water in its roots and its stems. The cactus saves the extra water and uses it to survive during those times when it's dry and does not rain. In the spring, white flowers grow on the saguaro. At night, when the desert cools down, these flowers open to show sweet nectar, which butterflies, bats, and birds feed on before the flowers close the next day when it once again becomes very hot. In the summer, red fruit begins to grow on the saguaro. Many animals eat the fruit of the cactus. Here is an interesting bird called the Gila woodpecker. A Gila pecks holes into the soft cactus with its beak to make a nest for its eggs. The Gila woodpecker is an omnivore. Remember, an omnivore is an animal that eats plants as well as other animals. Gilas feed on the cactus fruit and berries as well as insects that have invaded the saguaro. Thankfully, I brought a sandwich, so I won't have to join these Gilas for a buggy lunch. It really is way too hot for a regular rat like me to live here. I'm glad I brought my fan with me. Interestingly enough, birds like this Gila woodpecker can live in the desert habitat because their feathers help protect them from the hot desert sun by trapping cool air next to their skin. Still, Most birds only go out to feed in the early morning or evening when it's cooler outside. From noon to late afternoon, many of these birds seek shelter in the holes that they have dug in the cactus or in other shady places. Here's another bird that makes its home in the saguaro cactus, the elf owl. The elf owl, the world's smallest owl, is only 5 inches long. That's just a bit bigger than one of your hands. It moves into a nest that have been abandoned by the Gila woodpeckers. The elf owl, like most owls, is nocturnal, which means that it rests during the day and it wakes up at night to hunt for food. The elf owl is also a carnivore. A carnivore is an animal that eats only other animals, no plants. It uses its large eyes to hunt in the dark night for bugs that live in the desert. Most owls eat mice, and I'm sad to say, rats too. But I think I'm safe from the elf owl because I'm bigger than it is. Oh, look, here comes a desert cottontail rabbit, another animal that lives in the Sonoran Desert. The desert cottontail looks a little bit like the Arctic hare that we saw in the tundra, but it has larger ears and longer back legs. Desert cottontail rabbits are herbivores. Herbivores are animals that eat only plants, no animals. The desert cottontail eats grass, and even cacti. Smaller animals like the desert cottontail always need to watch out for larger animals in the desert that might eat them. Many animals and plants are part of a cycle called the food chain. You will learn more about the food chain in the next read aloud. Coyotes, for instance, like to eat rabbits. In fact, there's a coyote coming this way, so let's stay up here and watch it. Coyotes are found all over the United States, including the Sonoran Desert. As you can see, the coyote has a light tan-colored coat to help reflect the sun's rays and to camouflage it in the sand. Coyotes are carnivores like the elf owls. Coyotes have very good sense of smell, hearing, and vision, and they can run very fast, which means they are excellent hunters. They are also scavengers. Scavengers are animals that eat the meat that was left over by other animals. Coyotes live in dens, which they make by burrowing into the ground. I think this one has smelled something, because he's just run off. Now I'm getting down from this cactus before another coyote comes along and to make me its dinner. It seems like rats are on the menu everywhere I go.